Boy, boy, boy. Dengan laku kan lah, kayak dengan laku. Boy, boy. Program sa asen nang ku kawa. Nga tambah saya kan ka accept. Asen nang ku kawa. Ngindo ka serba ya asen nang ku kawa ngita kawa. Program sa beta kan be selendi kan na bare. Maka fenka me ngindo kan sala ya asen nang ku ka yang wala ngita kawa. Yo, ala barka ba. Program sa asen nang ku ka asen nang ku ka. No bitang David advance. Gak bitang David advance kabere. Remember mongol sana jaju do ko mana ko do ma fa para jawani Maimuna Sisa we start like a wool draw bandar. So but on a serious note, um, Gambia, um, nimman na political ma understand wallahi na banko be feel all the times. Ni nyen na kala lesson ole mo beti. Anyan na kala mo bele lesson odi. Especially many along ko atol be MPP la koma. Billahi aning many along ko be siri fence o kanne ya claim ko bandra political party. But this should be a lesson to all of us. This should be a very good lesson to all of us. Look, victim card member play kan parliament B momo ya lon ko yesterday nas nyingi ba follow kan ani men ba follow kan science victim card member play kan na parliament o kono B abe aka maitande wala mo na insincerity in dealing with poor many along they matter a lot na decision making kono wala sabu manengol ka foko nibe kuru ya dingo sene ka kala jamfandi bake because ning imeke ko ita famo sena bulano akono the victim card NPP la names will be play kan jambi aning some of the nominated names Adama Barrow e Melusang ibala poketo kono these are people many alongo they are not speaking with their own mindset they are speaking from just to please Adama Barrow aning alama sakunda wala sabu ijama beje be diam la den because ni one thing ke ba bakata mo ite fongo yifong me alongo ya mutala ya bay ite fongo yef ko men sambe kan nani ko amam betea dol be ko no wolka fa nyafan ko mongo kamuto taram paper lo mo toilet paper wo mo kili mo ka fundina ka wodi same draft ni samba nyana after ya muta ya be fal ni to lafta me ye kije imalla fi menu lagi ye wol bonige without consulting the Gambian people after spending 110 million Gambian dollars on that draft constitution prokaje ko mongo constitutional review commission yeta they went around all over the world sati o membe tarra Gambia man futa damto mamra siata mol ye men fokoy lafte loi me ye mara yo loi be ka funyo kan ya samba to ye parliament oto ya muta ya fay bandala simply because blackling wala dula fla wala bije Adama Barrow ko amal la fi damento la woto ay ala député lu suku ani ay député dul mesam ay dul duku ka fonge men fo ay député dukule pour yo constitution woni ya fay banda wo constitution o atelier wo murundi al fongo ya la cabinet o kono mbahal cabinet o Alia mutad alila frakadaman falingi alia be falling kende mame bige me alonko. It's all going to guide the rule of law. Is all going to put the executives on the watch. You will be able they disregard every single clause me alonko. That is the aspiration of the Gambian people. You will be able ya be fai. Bi yana wo mo kilimul je ka fundina bantam. Ika fanke moli ko ni tol mu kila la saibol lati ninka maleka kumo monfonye. I only wish ning ayatra nungo 2020 di bebbe ke kan tay momena bi kanyum fang victimization on yin men kan denga ni kanyum fang holindo men kan denga only ning ayatra nungo yin kan 2020 jandi be draft nyum fayla banda and they went celebration ya jale nyo bulo muta including ini Adama Barrow ali jala it at state house Adama Barrow e bulo muta and then they made that famous picture. You saw that. You saw that many along they made that that very famous picture, including UDP la detail many along Jamfa Alaji Jawara Obadunga San Wanning, is it 𝒂𝒄𝒏𝒔 and former Lasikunda Sabijala deputy. But this is what I'm trying to say. Mukasensia nimbe decision no make la. Wala saung ekoniye fongo bula mol blokano. When you leave yourself to be used as an object. At the end of the day, you can have independent mindset so that be from mirala mena your decision you make. To represent the constituencies, to represent the Gambian people. In 2020, they would have accepted this constitution prior pass. So, because imagine B, so ya lonoko, molu nyanaka constitution obla pass. I second reading pass. So ning after that stage order, imalafi melage, yowol bondinge. So these people all along they knew this. But munia sabung itol manson nakabula. 2020 imanson nabula laita. Munia sabung imanson nakabula second reading pass. Then we go to the third reading. From there the amendments can go along. And they can change the clauses that they wanted to change. Amendment on you so that we can have a constitution may longer is fit for purpose. But they have prevented the Gambian people from having the best constitution ever in 2020 simply because of their master is who advised them to reject it outright simply because of two clauses. That is the presidential term limits. Wala mujenti ko Adama Barrow malla fi ay first time mo men fon ke mo fon e konta ko yalla hadu mo jete mo men kana ra 3 years la sai bi woka bang faka fo ko mo ga 10 years so min ki je fon ta kon la kon. So that is the kind of selfishness that we are talking about. That's why Adama Barrow will remain the most selfish leader Africa will ever have. He's going to remain as the most selfish leader Africa na be men sodola na Africa Bangkoka. Ko be kala Adama Barrow lati. Adama Barrow. So imagine be ka fundina kaita ndina ko ye bilo nyimbula pass nga pasta. That reading then wolmal la female je wolsina kije. But you know what is going to happen. Now after that reading say wobekala fonkolati amendment olati. Je mena number si ara odamala like wobekala komo ka foko 75% honey. Je mojama men fo wobekala. Mojama membo je wala bekala je so ni ya mala non ko tol nyam mata nyamen ibe molu pusla wala nyam. But I just want to say thank you to all the UDP NAMs and individual miniano ke bela ta UDP ko kan ka je ko mongo kan yin kaiti fulu yin ka fai ai ka kamo kono wala to dol sa fanyali le ka bade akaito yin aita ai bade ni member fai la kamo kono ya fai kamo kono because it is as useless as nothing. Kaito me alonko it's of no use to the Gambian people. The nonsense the mensafe wo kaito yin kono is of no benefits to the Gambian people. Molmen ka foko mongo we need to compromise. Mbe mune compromise la quarter me ya lonko atol be ya lonko mongo. This is a trap for the entire nation. A trap ibola de dak and puluka mol blage ninga tambita tat reading any other amendment member kalaje is going to be a simple majority. You people are sitting at your comfort zones. You don't even know what is happening. Alga ko mol yeko alabula eta. You are brainwashed. Wala sabi ka fumuli ka alablay ka. Yung nonsense constitutional, who is going to sit down ka fumuli ka mga yung constitutional blighter? A constitution where a president will be given 95% power, more than the power and meant to be. And we all know that we have a human incarnate, whatever Nyado as the president. But the selfishness of NPP like DPT and DPT don't mean they are looking at this constitution today. They are not even thinking of tomorrow. Master solve they don't even think about life at that time. You know, knowing fully well that we are not thinking about all these things. Do you people think that close filing constitutional is that easy? Do you think 1997 will do it? But look at that 1997 constitutional. That is the constitution Mayalongo has been haunting the Gambian people for more than 30 years. So constitution only bad any big mistake here make a constitution that happen for generations. So it might take us a lifetime from afar mistake back is going to haunt us. So our children are going to suffer from this very bad constitution that I don't blame you people. We have to compromise and others. Look, Ning compromise. Adama Barrow claimed to be the president. He claimed to love this country so much. He claimed to have the Gambia at heart. Few closest will meet BJ. Mulman left the mentor. Muneba Sablo Adama Ningala Mulu take compromise la walla. Knowing fully well that this is going to be their legacy. You people think that Atola compromise ning wala kumada Adam Barrow la legacy de Adam Barrow nyakaro. Adama yalon nakamenge, he's just trapping Gambians kaje ko mungo kamol full. And by the way, mamira hanya to belala Adam Barrow la kodeke ak kumomong fumoe. This is a lesson me along Gambian Sudan, but yalong Gambian on Tokanina. Ning ko wonata ngam kidakan ne nganangina. Adama Barrow yokuma kunta ngol men befonye. Ay ku furo ngol men befonye kabringan ada. Ay gelle full filje. Ngamira kalo ngel sate ol tema la ko kuma furo ngol fonye me an kay fulfill. Look at the anti-corruption bill. The anti-corruption bill that the parliament approved. They will never implement it. You know why? Because that is not in their interest. Nam food mo likoy kamuneke victim card kahit hindi Gambia no la kumungo UDP diaspora voting balka misalafi. Gambia be alone neko UDP will have diaspora voting. Muna sabu ye diaspora voting da ya fay because that was a separate bill me along at the parliament. Tumale afay bata NPP la namso. And in Adam Barrow la pocket useless names, many along they cannot even express themselves, they cannot even speak their native languages in the parliament. They cannot say it because there is no idea. Most of them are only they are broken below it. So Alika for Molia Comongo, UDP NAM should allow this thing to pass. And people are NAM solely build Jelle Fayamo con me along Womu Gambia Bella interest. Included diaspora voting. So this is not about UDP versus NPP. This is about Gambia versus the big nonsense draft constitution. Adama Barrow Ningala cabinet sira Yemen Butcher, and they inserted clauses that favors them and which is going to give them the absolute power to brutalize Gambians using their draconian laws they may implement in the draft constitution. And that is the constitution me along ko UDP la namso la ning Gambia ding kendo le yemen faibanda. Wala sa mo just want to thank UDP la namso la kafal pe ko ala baraka. Dia mu batije fendije. Dia mu batije fendije. Dia mu batije fendije. Aliya fay banda nyama ngani ya sama na the next 5 years as long as mbigele nga ba fay la banda wala nya. Gambia bele constitutional need. But what constitution can need is not going to be we just need a constitution. Yeah, no constitutional need. That doesn't make any sense. Nimba constitutional need we need a perfect and a very good constitution. Ningo perfect constitutional constitutional most of the important points, Gambia no main pinpoint on the 2020 draft constitution must be covered, must be contained in the constitution may along be adopted. But it's not going to be a constitution made along a few nonsense people are going to sit in the cabinet and they decide on behalf of Gambia, be come on, this is the nonsense constitution which is going to govern the Gambian people. For Gambian people, fontol nyale mata. Nila cabinet obe nyamen, Adama Barrow la cabinet la composition obe nyamen. Jumale be sile ko wali constitution o mun kambena wali yeti nyabo ite bola adobla. E mo me yalla ko hani yemu rakam ko dala sa ko hani be jime ngola. And you think these people are going to be, truthful to the Gambian people? You think these people are going to do anything, me along please? Because most of them, how desperate they are, lying under the sun just to please Adama Barrow, they are slave master. And no wonder parliament how they are behaving today. Crying foul. They made a mistake in 2020. And begging these people go with this mistake. So on the whole, they knew that woman was a nonsense, was a big nonsense. It was only and they knew 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 was very wrong. But they couldn't think straight because be independent in your thoughts and your judgments. They were speaking for Adama Barrow. It will execute in the parliament in 2020. Na literacy rate Benjamin Gambia. The draft constitution 2020 suggested for free education in the Gambia. Free tertiary institution education in the Gambia. Draft constitution of 2020 year content. Why do you think that clause was removed from the constitution, 2024 constitution? Because they want the Gambians to remain suffering. They want us to, like, the literacy rate of the Gambia to remain as low as possible, so that they can continue lying and manipulating our mindsets, so that they can continue lying to us, so that they can continue using us as their political tools. Now, you go to the presidential powers. The presidential power are reduced very heavily. There was a clear separation of power between the various arms of the government on the 2020 draft constitution. Now, they went as a cabinet, Bahal cabinet, they sat down, inserted nonsenses, raised the presidential powers. And this is the government made left and draft constitutional, the nonsense draft constitutional. They want the Gambians to support it. They want the UDP NAMs and the other independent NAMs to support the big nonsense that they brought to the parliament as in the name of a draft constitution. They really wanted the Gambians to accept it. On the 2020 draft constitution of Hong Kong, Ning 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, the, how do you call it? President was Semboso, Kadipiti Tombong, Penialoke, Malo Catefera. 2020 draft constitution where clearly come Winyan Makabundi Gere. Multa Dolka Locatefeola, Mo Bilitamuka Catefawoli, Dolbeji Walcatara Siri, ni Molie the Catofe Pareta, President where I choose Nanyan Tombongan and Tombongan Tombo. Manalajibe, Ning presidential Funko 5 nominees, I meant Tombo. Look at that insult. Chihuahua, Bakari Tomonjata, Baribungola, Manakamana for Bio, Malakama for Fatma Jawara. Akaya Barney, Pulmoka for Moeko, nominated member National Assembly. I'll ban Farmaka Barney. So I'll ban. So Fatma Jawara, Maimuna, Maimuna. So these are the people, but look at just look at this composition. Just look at this incompetent composition. I mean, that shameless appointment, Sidinjai, Fabaka Tomonjara. So this is the kind of nonsense. 2020 draft constitutional menu bondi completely by the local president said best of la Puruka Fukuide Molotomona member National Assembly member, and this person is going to be an independent member. That is an absolute nonsense. That is an absolute nonsense. And I think we all need to support that. Parliament open mayata what they put it a mulu sambaji. It mo killing okay, take a mulu samba parliament okono. So one more ludola bulbuli killing. Was it Gambia la loi be falinola? I said Gambia falinola forever, at least for 30 years, for 20 years. So that is the absolute nonsense that people are fighting against. Go. In this 2020 draft constitution, no president, no leader, no executives should come or should have or should be given power to be able to nominate National Assembly members. Up to 5 people. We are giving that power to the president to nominate 5 National Assembly members. And Malongo, the voting of any of these 5 National Assembly members could influence a very important decision made on Kabetala Parliament. For instance, Nita constitution order. It has like a clause so don't fall in constitution order. They will only need simple majority, I believe. Now, that simple majority, just imagine that simple majority, neither head by head. Now, even the speaker could influence that entire decision. And some of those decisions, they haunt the nation, they haunt the citizens for decades. For decades. For decades. Adama Barrow and government, they are not serious in what they are telling Gambians. They are not truthful. They are just lying to the Gambian people, hiding behind good governance and making documents, many along pretending to be holy, when in actual sense, all what they are bringing are nonsense, big nonsense, lady. Nonsense. They want to let them implement the anti-corruption bill. Let them implement that anti-corruption bill, and then we see. From there, we can start from there. These people are serious. Let them also follow the recommendations made about National Assembly, because even National Assembly would be, doing their investigations and findings on corruptions upon corruptions. Even 2025 alone, how many alleged corruption may along National Assembly findings or and they gave those findings to the executives, but nothing else would be done. Nothing else will be done from there. Those papers are sitting, packed at the State House. They will never be charged again for Adama Barrow bonding. Because you know what? This is what cartels do. This is what criminal institutions they do. They cover up for one another. They do everything humanly possible to be covering up for one another. That is a signature for all the criminal syndicates and the criminal organizations. Many are they hiding behind governments. And this is very common practice in the African leaderships. They deal with mafias, they deal with criminal organizations, they deal with confirmed terrorist organizations. Nini Walker deal, Walker finance. Those are the people many along they give supports to them. So they will never disclose those people. They will never disclose the dealings they have with those people. If those people are found wanting, for corruption and other mismanagements or misappropriation of the public funds, they will never execute that law. They would never execute any recommendation which is going to expose those people, because Niyo will expose. It will expose that. So we are very familiar with this kind of tactics that most of these African governments are using, including our own, who knows nothing. All what he is doing is being taught by very notorious dictator of Macky Sall, Albe and some other notorious leaders, Minialongo, Guinea-Bissau, and the others. So we all know this. We all know this. Recently in the influx of criminal syndicates into the Gambia. Why do you think those people are coming to the Gambia, living large, given all necessary privileges to operate in the Gambia? Why do you think those are happening? Those are happening because they are approved. They've been approved by the states. They've been approved by the Gambia government, Adama Barrow. So, you know, so my baby cake, you know, 2020 more like constitutional. You remember five banda. You alone the come up better. You alone no could work and do begin. Could be a liam like a no. You alone no could work and do begin. You alone the car be mankel work for Rudy. But he hanu yamuda, ya be five banda simply because Adama Barrow you all of way. Be it work from the nega from Yoko, I'll be in file band, Hanu, Alfonso no could be element better. A be manja como cabin better, Demotul better. Mina will to bondi like yelling all to fight. I'm so proud about our names and other names many along they so this trap. Nin tara a pastor in young la father that started in a funny adopter. any clause be farin na je wo be kala simple majority lat hanni ñu nal ya samba je ni ma majority soto rek abetula gele forever abetula gele forever abetula gele forever atebola je kotake so they think ila nonsense ila nonsense trap is going to the oppositions are going to fall for it. So then I can find it ngalo na go debate for mambang, but purke be thank in advance because the nonsense bill is going down, is going to the grave. Ni mo bila le sira badi kan ning sindi pa ning draft constitutional bill block no. Yeah, especially the 2024 draft constitution ni will be block no wati ni taka wole jibe. Ni debate ro banda ko dingo si ya fay. Ni be suta ni jio la ide ya fay ba kono kilin because biya be badi la ban janga bi. Abe badi la abe banna la ni also so sama. Someone battle made some National Assembly members. We will try to bring some National Assembly members and have a thorough discussion on this issue. Debate in Parliament today at the Parliament. We will try to bring some of our National Assembly members tomorrow and have this discussion. We can, elaborate more on this beautiful news, this beautiful topic, that the Gambia is not going to be subjected to one nonsense cartels, one nonsense group called NPP, one nonsense institution in the name of the government, Kafukumungo. This is how they want the Gambia to be governed. It is the Gambian people who will have to decide how they want to be governed. And that is clear because the 2020 draft constitution, they went throughout the country, the entire length and breadth of the Gambia, Yabele crisscross. They consulted people, even the minors, the disabled, everybody had their view, everybody had their say. This is what they want in the constitution. But they didn't only stop there, they even went further. They went to the diaspora. They crisscrossed most of the big countries in diaspora, to the Americas, to the, Europe, Asia. They went everywhere, even the African countries. They visited there where we have Gambians. So everybody had their say. Now, these opinions were put together to represent the voice of the entire Gambian citizens. 16 people to go and change every single opinion that the Gambian people have as to how they want to be governed. 16 people to go and sit in their comfort zones, have their AC on, drinking wonjo juice and cold water, speaking with their wives while they were even, amending these things. And you want Gambians to, even dance with that tune, or the Gambians to even give. Sometimes you can't understand, but the point of the matter is, if anybody wants to fall for it, fall for it. The National Assembly members of the minority caucus, this is a big nonsense bill, this is a big nonsense draft constitution. The Gambian people want the 2020 draft constitution, or we wait until UDP government come, we will introduce a very wonderful and fantastic bill, Mayalonka Binala will be adopted and the entire Gambia will be surprised. We are not going to be greedy. The time limit is going to be selected on a bias. The first time President 𝒂𝒂𝒏 is going to be included in his or her term. I will include la term konole. Then the second time I will hand constitutional adoption in the second time. That is going to be the last term of that person. This is how things should go. Niye banko kanu ika banko kanule ya tandi by action, but ite banko kanula ika banko kanu ika fumoli ko ye banko kanule ika tandi mola ko imam banko kanu. That is a total nonsense, and a nonsense that must be rejected outright by everybody. So alabaraka for sama National Assembly members and then we are going to elaborate more on this nonsense big draft constitution. Mayalongo is gonna go to the grave tonight. Alabaraka, thank you.